Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and today we're going to start sourdough English muffins. Now I say start because this has to rest overnight, 8 hours or overnight. It's the middle of the day right now. Actually, it's the middle of the morning right now, but I'm going to let mine go all night. We'll make these tomorrow, and strangely enough, these are not made in the oven, even though they're called muffins. These are made on a griddle or in a skillet. So super easy to make, so good, and they're better than just conventional sourdough muffins. They are conventional English muffins. They've got that sourdough flavor to them, so just enhanced by some nice grape spread or strawberry spread and butter on them, toasted. Oh, they're so very good. So I want to show you how to get started on these. Only 3 ingredients for today, and then tomorrow morning we will add other ingredients to it, very few ingredients, and then let them rise just a little bit more and cook them on our griddle. So to get started, we're going to use a cup of milk. This is just whole organic milk. Put it in a big enough bowl where you can mix it around, and then you'll actually knead it a little bit with your hands later on, or with a spoon or something. We're going to use half cup of sourdough starter. Now this is what I keep my sourdough starter in the refrigerator, so it kind of comes awake when I take it out of the fridge. And you might be questioning by now, you're going to let that milk sit overnight on the counter? Yep, you do. Doesn't hurt it. We're talking about a fermented product here, and for some reason, it's just science. Don't ask me how, but it's not like it's going to go bad. It's sourdough. All right, we're going to use a half a cup of starter, and I'm going to measure this in the cup that I just took the milk out of, just because it pours out easier if there's something wet already in it. We will link the video for how to make sourdough starter from scratch, so you can take a look at that. It's kind of a long, drawn-out process, and when I say long, not necessarily hands-on time, but as far as time, you have to let it, you have to feed it and then get it activated for quite a few days. So, but if you have a sourdough starter and you're like, I don't know what else to make except for bread out of this, this is one of those things that you're going to be glad you found the recipe for. Okay, half cup of sourdough starter. We're just going to put that right on top of our milk. As a kid, my daddy's mama, always had English muffins for us, and later on, when I got married and I saw some at the store, I thought, oh, I'm going to buy some English muffins and try those. It'll taste just like at Ma's house. No, they didn't. They weren't that good. But it's because hers were sourdough, and I had no idea. I didn't know what sourdough was at the time, and she might have called them that, but I don't remember her mentioning that. But when I finally realized it was sourdough muffins that it was, I actually bought some at the store. They were good. I mean, they're not as good as these by any stretch of the imagination, but it tasted more like Ma's sourdough, or Ma's English muffins. Okay, 2 cups of plain flour. This is just organic, unbleached, plain flour. Now, you don't have to use a mixer with this. Just mix it with a spoon. And your starter's going to do all the work, because those little bacterias in there are just going to start eating, and they will find their way to every product in this bowl. Now, this is going to get left out on the counter overnight, or 8 hours. If you're starting this in the morning, you can make sourdough English muffins for dinner or for after dinner. But if you're making this during the day or in the evening, you can make it for the next morning. And these are great. You can take and freeze these, or put them in the fridge and then just toast them as you need them. Of course, you're going to bake them first, so they'll be toaster ready. But these are so good, and they keep for a pretty long time in the fridge. All right, now we're going to cover these. I could use this lid that goes with this, but I think I'm going to put a shower cap on this just to keep dust and bugs and anything like that out of it. So we're going to let this rest overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow and make our English muffins. So see you back then. Hey friends, now we're back. This is the next day. This is Wednesday, and we're going to continue with our sourdough English muffins. It's about to start storming, so I'm kind of trying to video this in between rain and wind and all that stuff coming through, because my dogs will freak out, and I'll need to devote my attention to them and kind of calming them down as much as I can. All right, this is our dough from last night. This is so fluffy. I mean, super fluffy looking. Of all things I didn't grab, it was a spoon. I try to get everything else laid out so I don't have to keep running around the kitchen. Got a spoon. All right, so to our overnight sourdough starter mix that we had resting overnight, and this has been going on for, I don't know, close to 20 hours at least. We are going to add a little mix here. This is 3/4 of a cup of flour. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of sugar in there. You can use honey if you want. I've never used honey in this. This is one of the few things that I actually added sugar to, even when our household was completely off sugar, because the person that didn't need the sugar didn't eat them anyway. We need a teaspoon of baking soda. Three-fourths of a teaspoon of salt. Give this a stir. We'll add this to our mix. And again, just with almost any dough, you're going to think, I didn't have enough liquid. I don't have enough liquid in there. It's too dry. But then it starts absorbing the flour, and you're fine. I've taken my rings off because I knew that likely I would need to get my hands in there. When you start making sourdough, you'll find yourself feeling really guilty, if you're like me, about throwing out any of the discard with the sourdough, because when you feed it, you only need to start out with a small amount. So whatever's over that small amount, you have to find something else to do with it or throw it out. I don't like throwing anything out. This is one of the great things about using the discard. Two of my favorite things are the English muffins and, of course, the sourdough granola. So anybody that says, oh, I don't do sourdough because it's just a bunch of waste, you just have to throw out all that stuff if you don't make bread, well, just make bread. And if you don't have time, save that starter and the discard and use it for things like this. Okay, this dough is a little bit moist. It's not really like super sticky, but it's sticky enough to where you'll want to flour your countertop. We're now going to roll this out, cut it into shapes. Now, originally, this recipe called for cutting it out in rounds. And I know why they say that is because typically an English muffin is round. But I'm no geometry genius. I did pretty well in geometry, but when you cut out circles, you have a lot of waste. So I've always made these in squares. There's no waste when you do it like that. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to flour my countertop just a little bit. Just a light layer of flour. I'm going to put our dough out on the flour. Flip it over. We're going to pat this out or roll it out, either one, to a thickness of about 3/4 of an inch. Because you know English muffins are not flat. They're kind of puffy and thick. And if you're going to cut them out in squares like I do to avoid waste, then pat this out into a square or a rectangle. You get a more even thickness, I guess, if you use a rolling pin, and I could. It's right in the drawer in front of me, but I think I'll just pat it out this time. Now, because we just added the flour and some sugar to it as well, this is actually going to start rising again. So we're going to cut these out and put them on a baking sheet and let them rise for 45 minutes. Hopefully the storm at my house will pass during that time. Now, in this jar, this is stone ground organic cornmeal. And you want to get some cornmeal and put it on a baking sheet. I have a shiny baking sheet right here. And let me turn this camera around so you can see what I'm doing. And when we cut these out, we're going to lay the pieces on this baking sheet. I'm trying to decide how many pieces I want to make in this. I think I'll try to do 12. So this is just my plastic bench scraper. I love this silly thing. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so we're going to take our pieces and just lay them on the baking sheet. Now, according to this recipe, if you roll it out and cut it into circles, don't re-roll the scraps, because they said it just doesn't perform well. So whatever that means, I'm guessing it doesn't rise well, but I'm not sure. I never tried it. I believe it when they say that. Apparently somebody tried it and it didn't work, and I don't want to goof mine up. you've ever had really good English muffins, you know there's a cornmeal coating on at least one side of them. And if you want it on both sides, you can flip these over and get it on both sides. Okay, so for right now, we're going to allow these to rest for 45 minutes. I'm going to put these in my lower oven. That way I know they don't get a bug on them. Well, not like I have bugs flying all around my kitchen, but just, you know, if a gnat lands on one, I just don't want that. So we're going to let those rest for 45 minutes. I'll set my timer, and we'll come back and we'll put these in the oven. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. This is what they look like now. They're pretty puffy. And I have turned my electric skillet on. Now, I said earlier you can use a skillet on the stovetop or you can use an electric skillet. I'm just choosing to use an electric skillet because my camera's set up easier on this side for right now. Plus, I am watching my iPad over there. I have the storm coverage, live trackers on for watching the storm because I don't want to get caught off guard right in the middle of this and need to run to a closet or over to the basement a block away. So I have my electric skillet. This is a ceramic coated electric skillet. This is not a Silverstone, Teflon, blah, 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 whatever it's called, nonstick skillet. So just be cautious about that. Those particles go in the air from what I understand. The science behind it, it's just a little unnerving to me to use those. But this is ceramic, and I am so proud of this one. We have used the fire out of this and used it at weddings to make grown-up grilled cheese for a massive crowd. So it has been through a lot, I will say. All right, now these can be a little delicate. And like I said, you can pick up some cornmeal on both sides of them. I'm just going to lay them right there on the skillet. I think I said I had my electric skillet turned to 350, and that's what it is. I didn't want to eliminate telling you that. Just going to lay these on there. And if they deflate a little, that's okay. Just be as careful with them as you can, but they will puff back up when they start baking on the hot surface. So these are good to eat as soon as you make them, but what I normally do, of course it's normally in the middle of the day when I make these, so I'm not really in need of an English muffin at that point, but what I'll do is put them in a container. I store them in the refrigerator, and they keep for quite a while in the refrigerator, actually. Normally I just keep them in a plastic zip-top bag in the deli department, or deli compartment of my refrigerator, and they keep really well, but you can store these in the freezer and just thaw them out as you need them. But to put these in the toaster is great, but what you want to do is take with a fork, not a knife. People who know English muffins know you don't split it with a knife. You split it with a fork. Stick the fork in, pry the two pieces apart, and it'll be real cobbly and rough. And you put it in the toaster, and then you can put your butter and fruit spread, whatever you want on it. Apple butter, molasses, whatever you want. Everything's good. But put that on there and enjoy those like that. Now these need to cook on each side for about 6 to 8 minutes. So I will show this process, but then when my husband edits the film, he will probably speed this up into fast motion so you can enjoy it without having to sit through just kind of like watching the grass grow. Going to watch some English muffins toast. You want them to cook all the way through, so don't turn the heat up too high. Like I said, at about 350 is what I have mine set at. And we're going to cook them for just a few minutes while I watch the storms over here. pretty these look? If this were the heat of the summer, I just have to tell you, I would not be doing this in the kitchen. I would be in the sunroom or someplace that I can open the windows and it not affect the air conditioner. Right now, it's not that hot. It's not super cold outside, but it's a normal temperature outside. It's probably, I don't know, 70 degrees outside. But I would not be heating this electric skillet up in the kitchen to fight my air conditioner, just so you know. So obviously our smaller ones, like these, will cook quicker than the larger ones. Just surface area. There's just less surface area. But for right now, I could call these done, but I'm afraid these larger ones right here aren't quite done in the very center. So we're just going to let it cook for another couple of minutes or so. Okay, I think we're good. I am going to turn this griddle off, unplug it. And here's what our English muffins look like. Don't those look pretty? Okay, so hopefully we can cut some of this cooking time out of this video, make it a little quicker for you to watch. And hopefully you tried these. Maybe with jam or some butter and I don't know. You choose. So hope you enjoy these and we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Enjoy, guys. Bye.